Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I chose to research what childhood looked like in ancient Greece. So, I wanted to know if childhood in ancient Greece was truly as awful as it seems at first glance. The short answer is no, and the long answer is, well, this presentation. I want to start by explaining the four sources that I used. So, the first one I came across was a scholarly journal from the International Journal of Health Science titled Sports and Recreation Activities for Young Children in Ancient Greece. This source gave me insight into the intense and dangerous nature of the sports that children participated in. The next source I came across is titled Growing Up in Ancient Greece. This is a piece written in Humanities magazine. It offers a behind-the-scenes look at an exhibit called Coming of Age in Ancient Greece, Images of Childhood from the Classical Past. This exhibit was created at Dartmouth University in the Hood Museum. This source helped me to understand what childhood was really like during the time period. My next source is the Hood Museum's academic website for the exhibit I mentioned. The magazine article from my last slide was the creator's take and meaning of the collection in the exhibit, while this source provided the descriptions of some of the artifacts featured and some brief insights as to what they may mean for this research. The final source I used is called Plato and Play, Taking Education Seriously in Ancient Greece. This is a scholarly journal from the American Journal of Play, and what it provided me was Plato's in-depth view of childhood in ancient Greece. As I was researching my topic, I found that there were lots of games, sports, and various other activities for children to participate in whenever they had extra downtime. They had a wide variety of toys, including yo-yos, dolls, knucklebones, swings, and many more. The Dipylon wine jug in the image on the right was used as a prize for the best performer in a dancing competition. There was certainly no shortage of leisurely activities for children to participate in during this time. Here is just one example of the kinds of sports that children had the option to participate in. This is bull leaping, which is a dangerous performance-style sport, and it was a sport that both boys and girls could participate in. The way it works is the bull charges towards the young performer, who then grabs the bull's horns and vaults onto its back. They would then do a somersault to dismount. Education was the biggest difference between archaic and classical Greek periods. In the archaic period, children were mainly learning through things related to the lifestyle of their family. Although literacy had returned to Greece by that point, children were still considered to be somewhat disorderly. However, childhood mirrored the intellectual growth of society because formal education came into the picture. This happened because the teaching of letters became vital as the importance of writing grew. The Greeks believed that the reason education was necessary was so that they would become successful adults, not necessarily because development is important for children. It is important to note here that learning outside of formal education in each city-state differed. In Sparta, for example, children would spend majority of their time physically training to be brave warriors. Whereas in Athens, children spent more time learning the techniques and strategies of war. Plato believed strongly that childhood was meant to be utilized. He did not agree with children changing the style of music or the rules of a game for their enjoyment. He thought that it needed to be regulated, or else it could lead to devastating consequences. And while this may seem like an unusual opinion, his reasoning actually makes a lot of sense. You see, if children grew up playing the same games with the same rules and the same toys as previous generations, they will grow up to be adults who can maintain a stable society. Although, if a child grows up always being given a brand new toy or being taught that changing the rules in a game is fun, the opposite will occur. The children will grow up to run a very unstable society because they are taught from a young age to reject the old versions and to value the new. In the bigger picture, these new age adults will create new laws, new styles of government, and new institutions which will potentially mislead a well-established society to complete and utter chaos. Now, Plato was not an ignorant man. He realized that for children, playing was inevitable. So instead of banning it altogether, he thought that it could be put to good use. He believed in using games and sports to society's advantage. Things like gymnastics competitions and verbal contests would prove particularly useful as a form of training for future military and political leadership. There were, however, some unfortunate parts of growing up in ancient Greece. Children had a lot of things that were expected from them. For example, the young boys were expected to carry on their father's line of work, and young girls were taught things by their mothers to maintain a good home. There were also slave children, who were usually sold because the parents didn't have the means to provide for them. Under this particular circumstance, their alternate fate would either be abandonment or death. The darker side of things begs the question, were children in ancient Greece really loved by their family? And the answer is, of course, yes. Parents and even grandparents would dedicate statues or give important gifts because they believed it would protect their child from harm. Going back to the discussion on education, children were looked at as having the potential to be a successful adult, which shows that parents wanted the best for their kids, which, by the way, is a prominent idea of parenthood. Also, Greek homes had different quarters for women and children. It is rare to find artifacts that depict men with other members of their household, which means that mothers had a more intimate bond with their children because the men were typically out spending most of their time working and doing other things outside the home in order to take care of their family. So, while there was a rather dark side to childhood in ancient Greece, it really wasn't that bad of a place to grow up. There was love and laughter, along with plenty of entertaining games and sports for children to enjoy. There was formal education, which provided much needed structure in order to reinforce intellect in society. And there was also slight manipulation to bring out one strong generation of adults after the other. Here is my works cited page. Thank you.